to the Flow of God and on a special presentation on cyberspace in the virtual world. The video you just watched is a brief introduction of the corrupt mindset we're going to be dealing with on today. This is going to be given through a biblical spiritual perspective. Now the enemy, he's known as the prince of the power of the air. So it's not a coincidence that he's flooding the gates of media as he is on today. You know, his mission is always the same. John 10:10 says, the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So today, truth is coming forth, and light is going to dispel the darkness. So stay tuned for this special presentation on cyberspace and the virtual world. Now today's presentation is going to be divided up into 4 parts. Progression of media, massive online role-playing sites and virtual worlds, virtual character representation, and the spiritual dynamics. And as I mentioned before, we're going to be dealing with this through a biblical perspective. So we're going to start off with the Word of God. In Luke 17:1 it states, Jesus said to his disciples, things that cause people to sin are bound to come, but woe to that person through whom they come. Jude 1:17 says, but dear friends, remember what the apostles of our Lord Jesus Christ foretold, how they declared to you, in the last times there should be scoffers, obeying only their own ungodly passions. 1 Timothy 4:1 states, the Spirit clearly says that in later times some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. John 16:13, but when He, the Spirit of truth, comes, He will guide you to all truth. He will not speak on His own. He will speak only what He hears, and He will tell you what is yet to come. And lastly, 1 Corinthians 2:10, but God has revealed it to us by His Spirit. The Spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God. Now we're going to begin by looking at the 7 mountains. Now you must understand our world is shaped on 7 spheres, 7 ways of society in which it is molded. You have business, government, family, church, education, media, and entertainment/arts. And today we're going to be dealing with the mountain of media. Now there's a very good video produced at www.the7mountains.com. You can get an in-depth information as far as the mountains and again how our society is shaped by these sectors. Now our first section is the progression of media. In this section we're going to take a brief display of media and how it's progressed during the years. And we're going to start off with Pac-Man. Okay, I know that some of you all have played Pac-Man because Pac-Man is a huge game. I mean, it's a classic. It's an icon. Now, Pac-Man was first released in Japan on May the 22nd, 1980. And, you know, it was a pretty harmless game. You had the colorful ghosts. It was animated. You had the yellow Pac-Man who would run away from, you know, the ghosts and eat up the dots. And you was awarded with the occasional award of cherries. Again, pretty harmless. But then as we move into the 90s, well, things start to get a little more graphic. You had Mortal Kombat. And Mortal Kombat, whoa, when it came out, I mean, everyone was surprised because we started to see a whole lot of blood, a whole lot of gore, very detailed. Mortal Kombat was released in 1992, and it was a huge success. In this slide, you see the famous character Sub-Zero, who performed what's called a spinal rip on his victim, where he rips the victim's head from his body with the spinal cord still attached. And you may remember some of the Mortal Kombat phrases. Remember, finish him and get over here and fatality. You know, so Mortal Kombat, I mean, it was a huge game in this era. Started the way for the blood and gore, and again, the very detailed content. But then as we move into the year 2000, boy, you had a whole lot of choices to choose from. I mean, in this here, we have an example of Resident Evil 4. Now, Resident Evil 4 was released in 2005. And you see the photo on the left side is a photo cover of the Wii edition. And needless to say, as you see here, the game was full of demonic spirits in the forms of zombies and creatures and other nocturnal beings. Again, very graphic, very detailed. Technology definitely in advance, so you can see more animation from these characters. And you look on the right, here's a scene that's being played in the movie. Here, a creature that has a chainsaw. So very graphic. And if you visit the link in the below, it's actually a list of the best games in history by several gaming experts. So they kind of take all the games decade by decade and age groups, and so they do a real compiled research list of the gamers period. But there's something I want you to notice here. Now let's look at, because we're talking about the progression of media, let's look at the appearance. Let's focus in on the appearance of this. Now, let's use our example again of Pac-Man. Again, colorful, animated, cartoonish. But then again, let's look at Resident Evil 4. What do we notice? The characters are more realistic, graphic. I mean, they're wearing clothes as, you know, we would wear. So an appearance that you can identify more with. Characters that actually look like you. But then let's look at the environment. When we look at environment, let's take Pac-Man again as an example. It was more of a simulated environment in a computerized grid, colorful. But then let's look at the right side. This is Grand Theft Auto 4 by Rockstar Games. What do you notice about the environment? It's environment that you can definitely relate to. I mean, I can walk outside the door and I'll see the street, I'll see the trees, I see other people. So what can we say about all this when we look at it? We can say this: the end product is more realistic characters with an environment that you can identify and relate to. And we have to ask ourselves, why is that? How is it that it's progressed so fast, so quickly? I want you to keep that in mind, because that's where we're going with this. Now we're into the era of virtual worlds. Virtual worlds is huge now. Now, virtual worlds started back in 2007, 2008 coming on the scene. And when it came out, boy, it was a big buzz. I mean, that's what everyone was talking about. I mean, some of us, like, I didn't know anything about virtual worlds until I attended this presentation through my job about a couple years ago. And the guy did a presentation and he was talking about it. And I was like, whoa, really? And so that's when the Lord really started dealing with me and wanted me to look into this particular field. And then the Lord validated, because probably 3 weeks after I started my research, my pastor had came up and prophesied to me about this and how this was the base of demonic activity, and I would travel in this realm and I would see things, and boy, have I seen things since I've started this. And that's the whole basis of this presentation, is to expose the enemy. So the enemy's plan is this: it is for you to become it. He wants you to live through your object of choice in the virtual world. Because again, going back to the 80s, it all led up to this. For you to actually have this character that you can be and customize, pour your thoughts, your movements into this character. And we're going to be talking a lot about this. Now, a guy that you're going to meet later on in the presentation, his name is Brad Reason. Well, I like how Brad put it, because he says, imagine placing yourself inside the computer. That's what virtual worlds is all about. That's what a life in the virtual metaverse is all about. You in the virtual world, you inside the computer, your movements. And you're going to see a whole lot of videos that's going to show you that people who are literally engaging hours upon hours in the computer, in the metaverse. So as we move along here, we want to go ahead and put out this. We want to put out the enemy's tactic. The enemy's tactic is this: to allow a door to be open for the channeling / manifestation of evil spirits. That is his goal. That is the whole purpose of this presentation. And trust me, by the end of this, you are going to see exactly how he is doing this. So hold on, don't go nowhere. We're going to see a whole lot of videos. So let's go ahead and get started into our next section, which is section 2. Massive online role-playing sites and virtual worlds. It's a book I came across. It's called Exodus to the Virtual World. And it's by a guy named Edward Castronova. Now this book, really just hit it home. This kind of pretty much sums up people's interactions, because what he did was this. He did research. He looks at research and how people were spending millions of hours into the virtual world, and he put it in this book. So I want to read you a little bit of the book, and as you see here on the screen, the quote is, "Whatever our deepest share of fantasies may be, we will be able to pursue them in cyberspace together all day, every day, world without end." And it's talking about here, you see on the book cover, how online fun is changing reality. And this is another thing here. The enemy, he wants to collide the virtual world with the real world. So that's something else I want you to keep in mind too, of how he's trying to parallel the two worlds and have people submerged in both worlds and both lifestyles. Let's read a little bit from this book. I just want to read a little passage here. It reads as follows. If someone built a persistent virtual reality environment where you could be anything you wanted to be all the time, wouldn't you go there? At least for a while every day. And if you think you wouldn't, how about other people? Maybe your life is good. Maybe you're a successful business person, an actor, a happily married parent with 2 nice kids. Maybe you got a degree from an elite school and you're well on your way to the top. Maybe you're a presidential candidate. But how many people can only fantasize about the life you have? For each happy, fulfilled person, how many are there who are bored, frustrated, unappreciated, defeated, unhappy? Whatever people learn in school, it doesn't seem to be leading to stable homes, happy childhoods, and emotionally grounded adult lives. In some cases, sure. But in my view, there are quite a lot of people who crave change, and virtual reality can make their lives different, more exciting, more rewarding, more heroic, more meaningful. And those people, quite rationally, will spend much of their time in the virtual worlds. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the difference between virtual gaming and virtual worlds. Virtual gaming is a genre of role-playing games where a large number of players interact within a virtual game world. Players assume the role of a character and take control over many of that character's actions, and they operate in a persistent world, and gaming continues even after the player is logged off. Virtual Worlds is a genre of online community, computer-based simulated environment intended for its users to inhabit and interact. Users take the form of avatars, and it depicts a world very similar to the real world, with real-world rules and real-time actions, and communication is usually textual or a voice-based device.